Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace, and in this video I'm going to go and start doing well, I say that and something happens and comes up, so I better not say it. But some of my notes, I want to go through some of those notes I have had, who knows how long, some of them maybe years that I haven't gotten through. I don't know, this one says, let's see, this is the last day of September of 2021, and I wrote these notes on March 24th, 2021. So, but some of them I'm saying it was years probably. Anyway, did you really need to know all of that? I don't think so. Anyway, so I was doing these notes and let me see, I'm going to read through this one. So it's going to sound like I'm reading, and yeah, I am, pauses. Okay, and apparently I was, in this one, I made a video on some of it, and the some of it that I made the video on was that I don't even understand what I wrote. This title was Others Stop You, Own You Do? Who knows what I was trying to say. But it was about caring too much about what other people think. This is a problem of mine. It was droned into my head from the time I was young. That if I did any little thing that was what somebody else could even see, and of course you know how that goes, they're gonna see something that they would see wrong, they're gonna pounce on it. So it can develop into, doesn't always, but it just, there's so many things it depends on, to a person to where they start to care too much about what another person thinks. You're being groomed, some would say. Anyway, it brings about that fear of persecution, fear of failure or success. Let me see what else I wrote. Not wanting to be like them. Yeah. And many little notes, little highlights, really. Making yourself to be quite invisible as they did. Yeah, I've mentioned that before about, how some of us wind up having a secret life because they made us invisible in theirs, and it was all about them anyway to them. And these narcissistic, histrionic people, I really, truly feel, my personal view is the histrionics are the worst to me. Out of narcissistic and histrionic, they're the worst. The histrionics. Those are the mean girls, mean boys. Do anything to put themselves on top, and they don't care. They're going to hurt anybody, and they will do that. They will do that. Purposefully hurt somebody. Step on them to make themselves look higher up. But anyway, let me get back to this notes. And they turn to humiliation, and that some of us never learn how to use our voice. And I'm not just talking about this voice. I'm talking about our, to voice our opinions on things. Now, I'm a social and behavioral scientist. I went through eons of, I was a professional student. Some call it professional student. I call it career student. Yeah, like 20-something years, and I taught at college and university also. And so it's 20-something years altogether. And I have my voice. I know how, I make plenty of videos, and, my opinions, my, educated opinions and all that. I don't have that. But some people have not learned how to use their voice, have not learned to, because they were silenced so much. They were told to be not only not seen, but not heard either. Neither one, not only not heard, but not seen either. Anyway, and then that's where I left off on that. And I had some more notes. It said, taught to be ashamed of who you are. Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of us know how that is. Taught to be ashamed of who you are. They want to mold you into what they want you to be for their purposes. Some of these. Now, not all of them do the same. It's not all, one size fits all, but, yeah, I'm just doing some little highlights here. There's some that do these, okay? Okay, and some will steal your ideas. I've done plenty of videos on that. Yeah, because I've had it happen to me. Seriously, I kind of get burnt out on making videos because of that. For one of the things, is the people who will steal your ideas. They make them their own, like they thought it up. These are people who, to me, more and more, it's not all of them, but these are people to me, some of them, who they don't have any pride in themselves even. They don't respect anybody else, but they don't even respect themselves, because what they truly are, they don't want to be. They want to be what they're not. The whole fake it till you make it, they never really make it. In fact, they make fools of themselves. To me, this is how I see it. Because it's obvious they're not what they're faking. Now they used to be something, and it's a different now, but they're basically imposters. But there's a term that means something else, but yeah, they're imposters. They steal somebody else's ideas, make them their own, and they don't really know what they're talking about. They have nothing that backs it up. Does this sound like narcissism? Yes. They want somebody to praise them for something they're not. Okay. Anyway, let me go on. Let's see. And they'll mock you, we know that. And so for some, you limit yourself because they've limited you. Let's see. Okay, and I said hold ourselves back on ? Uncomfortable and make mistakes and get in trouble by, I don't know. That was a long time ago. That wasn't too long. I mean, like I say, some of my notes go way back. So, okay, that was all on that page. Now for another one. I don't even have a date on this one, so that must, I think I started putting dates on them this year. So, yeah. So it was before then. And now this is about the end of the relationship. Now I've heard people make questions and make statements about end of relationship, and really getting a counselor or a what do they call, licensed marriage and family therapist. I was studying at one time to do that. Well, that's what I wanted to do years ago. Anyway, it was about, okay, now this is at the end of the relationship, okay. How some people will, like they have an end of a relationship with somebody who was really, say, narcissistic. Like I said, I think a lot of people call somebody narcissistic whose behaviors really can be more histrionic. Now, nobody should be diagnosing them with a behavioral disorder, a personality disorder, but the behaviors of, okay. But they sound more histrionic to me. Anyway, some of the people they talk about, and I've seen, and I've actually experienced years ago, is major withdrawal. Okay, now you can hear some people talk about how it's so much, and I can understand it. Physio-psych was not my best subject, so I'm not going to go there. Yeah, how it can be like an addiction. Anyway, and then I said, people should really go to. I'm not giving anybody advice, but yeah, an actual counselor. Okay, and then I wrote that people go through stages of grief, and I have them somewhere written down. But anyway, it's some of them is like 5, and then there's some that have 7, and then some that have much more. Yeah, it was cooler. Anyway, look them up. Let's see. I wrote why some have trouble with counselors. Well, some of it is money. Okay, the cost of it. And I said it before in the past. I don't know if it works this way where you live or the university near you, but some universities and maybe some colleges, I don't know, more of a university, what I would know about. They do have counseling for people who are not students. Okay, and I don't think that there's much of a fee. It just depends. Like I said, I don't know about where you live, what it is there. So, but a person can always call them and ask. I don't think that's cost anything. Anyway, I'm not here to give anybody advice, remember, in any of this. And Oh, some might have a problem because I've known people who don't want to read anything, especially like when a counselor says you need to read this. Okay, a counselor, therapist, whatever it is, suggests a person read this book. They don't want to. My experience with that is that those are the type who think they know it all already. Okay, I'm not much on self-help books myself. When I was a career student back there, undergraduate and graduate, I didn't like reading any kind of magazine either that wasn't scientific. Okay, self-help to me was not. It wasn't, and magazines, they weren't. So it was then. This is now. But some of them don't want to read. Some of them don't want to take the time. Well, if you're going to counseling, boy, I lost my voice there for a second. But if you're going to counseling and your purpose is to heal, and that counselor suggests you read this book or this article, whatever the counselor does, books perhaps, are you really invested? If you don't want to, or are you really invested in healing? So, anyway, and some of them, some people, when the counselor pushes them, the counselor pushes them to, like, read a book, or two, or many, or, write a journal, write a list for this or that or whatever, or pushes them to heal by, making them kind of get out of their comfort zone, making them talk about something and to think and to process and to connect the dots in the correct manner. And they get ticked. They don't want that. Are you really invested? Seriously. And it can be very emotional. It can be very, very, counseling, being, going to a counselor, it can be very emotional. But that's healing in some instances. And like I was saying, I'm going back and forth looking at my notes, by the way, and you know that. Okay, and like I was saying, some of these people, they seem very narcissistic. And like I say, narcissistic, histrionic. Because they think they know more than the counselors. They're there and they're very smug. They probably have listened to some videos and, about this, so they think they know more than the counselor does about narcissism, about, what they're dealing with. They know more. Yes, look up in the dictionary that about, not dictionary, but the DSM about narcissism, symptoms of. Anyway, I don't know why I wrote this, but selling you something else. Anyway, and I wrote, heard from too many, do your own homework. Yeah. Okay, but like I said, these are just little highlights I write on, these little notepads, and eventually I'll make a video on them. So this could have been over a year ago. So yeah. Okay, on to a new page. This one still doesn't have a date on this one either, or doesn't have a date on this one either. Okay, it's getting chilly here. Social awkwardness. Now I know that some people think that if somebody is very socially awkward. Now, narcissistic people can be socially inept. That the people that I've known, one of them actually, I do believe he was diagnosed with antisocial. He had been in prison for half of his life, and he was in his 40s, mid 40s, or early 40s. Anyway, he passed away. He was a stalker. Yeah. Anyway, he didn't pick up on social cues, or he didn't pick up on, you can call him that. He just wasn't very aware of what was going on around him. He was like in a zone, his own zone. So, anyway, but some of us can be. I'm worried now that I have been home so much, because even before this, I was a homemaker and I had just started joining gyms, joined a gym, not joined a gym, but, one of these Parks and Recreation, got a thing for it so I could go to any of their rec centers and gym. You know, they had like gym-like stuff in there. I was doing all that and everything, and then 2020 hit, you know, and so I am kind of worried because I haven't really been around people, you know, as much as before. You know, how awkward I'm going to be, because I think I've mentioned this in a video before. I think many people will be a little awkward because they're more used to being alone and not around other people. And maybe, you don't know. We'll find out. So, yeah, let's see what I wrote on my notes. It must have been sometime last year, because I wrote during these times. I wrote the word out. I'm avoiding using that word. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. So will many others. Like driving, having to learn how to drive, you know, within the social rules. Again, yeah, we have experienced that so many times. And it is like we're not driving as much. So, yeah. I wrote no stats, you know, statistics, since this is something new. Yeah, it was sometime last year that I wrote that. That's all I had on that one. So, funny I mentioned this. I have another one. Didn't write the date down, so. And it's the stages of grief. Okay, I don't remember how you pronounce that name. Kubler-Ross model. Okay, and I don't have my readers on. Well, I couldn't probably read anyway. But denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Or another one was shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression. Oh boy, I cannot read my writing. Can't read that. I don't know. The upward turn, reconstruction, and working through, and then acceptance and hope. I don't know where I got those. Maybe it was somewhere online. You can Google it, and or whatever browser you use. I never liked it when they say, go Google this. I don't use Google, but that was back then. Anyway, but yeah, you know, a lot of things that we do, you know, those of us who have dealt with narcissistic, histrionic people, these people who are fake, the ones who do the fake it till you make it crap, and the ones who are just fake. When they meet you, they're fake until they get you, wrapped around their little finger, and then you realize that person is not the person that you thought they were, because they had been faking it. And some of us will go through this like stages of grief, because that person that we really thought that they were died. Okay, when their true colors came shining through, their true person. Yeah. So, anyway, you know what? I think this is plenty for this video. I'll talk to you on another one.